In Alex's room in the Jokertown Clinic, we see Alex in his bed appearing to be asleep. True rest for him had been elusive since that day. He didn't want to sleep knowing the nightmares would return. In the end, exhaustion caught up to him and he drifted off to sleep only to have the nightmare return once again. In the nightmare, the moment he held Jack in his arms replayed vividly in his dream. He struggled thrashing about in his bed. Fists clenched the sheets in tight grips as crimson lightning began arcing between his fingers. Alex thought he could save Jack. He was an ace now, after all. Saving people is what aces do. The nightmare reached a fever pitch. Alex jolted upright from the bed as electrical power surged outward, branching in waves from his body, frying all the electronic equipment in the room. Outside Alex's room, a small distance down the hall, a nurse in alarm pointed out to an orderly that Faraday Room 6 was going off again like last night. She advised taking a tranquilizer gun as the orderly bolted around the nursing station headed toward the room. Another nurse sighed, bemoaning that the boy needed to get himself under control soon. Shifting scenes. It's Monday morning and transition counselor Mike is leading a group session. The group consists of Alex, Simon, and a few jokers named David, Mike, and Ingrid. On the board it states the session is about thoughts and feelings. Kira is noticeably absent, and Mike decides to start the session out by proposing they share their feelings about Kira deciding to leave the hospital. David, the Joker with 4 arms and 4 eyes, chimed in first saying he thinks it's kind of weird she just took off like that. Mike prompted, asking how it made him feel. David said he guessed it pisses him off. They were all there trying to deal with their situation, to work through it while she just quit and walked out. He wondered aloud what that says about the rest of them. Simon interjected, did they even know for sure that she actually took off? Given she looked like a maggot now, he certainly would not have gone off anywhere looking like that. Something about her leaving didn't sound right. Turning around and jumping to his feet, David glared. Hey, he indignantly told Simon, you're lucky, you still look normal and have no idea what the rest of us are going through here. Unbothered, Simon asked him what, proceeding to tell them they all looked freaking ugly. What did that have to do with Kira, though? Counselor Mike attempted to calm things down, suggesting they look at what was going on here. Continuing, Mike attempted to clarify Simon's words, insinuating that he was referring to how Kira might feel about her body now. They should all take a moment to explore that thought, asking if anyone wanted to. Before he finished, Simon interrupted, asserting that was not what he said. Simon declared he had not said, "Oh boo-hoo, poor snobby rich girl now all uglied up." Expressing what he actually said was if they were sure she had decided to leave. Nobody had answered that. In response, Mike said that there was almost always walkaways after an outbreak. It was a legitimate reason. Some chose to make a clean break. If that was actually the decision she made, Simon retorted. Mike didn't see any reason to think otherwise. Do you? He asked Simon as Alex sat lost in his own thoughts. Yes, he heard Mike talking to her parents. Kira didn't know anyone in this city. When she spoke to her mother, she was fine. Mike suggested that the group was not the right place for talking about private conversations, endeavoring to take back control. Simon resumed, she's a maggot now. How exactly does she drag her ass down the street? None of it made any sense. Alex suddenly surged to his feet. With a pained expression, he proclaimed he wanted to take the Trump virus. All heads turned toward Alex, eyes locking on him, faces staring in shock, stunned that he would want to take the Trump. He was lucky, drawing an ace. Why would he want to risk death taking the Trump when he was a superhuman now? Stunned at his outburst, Mike apologized, attempting to verify what he had said. Alex promptly replied back, reiterating that he wanted to take the Trump virus. He wanted these powers gone. Mike admonished Alex, explaining that Trump kills as many as it cures. Bluntly, Alex said, yeah, so what? It was a risk. Perhaps he wanted to die. Crimson lightning sparked as he infuriatingly barked. If Kira could make her own decision to walk away from the hospital, then he could make his as well, and that decision was to take the Trump virus. Mike tried calming Alex down, elaborating that taking Trump was not an option. They were there to help make people better. He scoffed in irritation, so it was okay for jokers to risk their lives taking Trump, but not him. You dumbnut, Simon interjected, raising his hands, shrugging. He mocked Alex. Jokers were deformed while they both have superpowers now. What part of that concept was too subtle for him to understand? Arg, Alex said, exasperated. He bolted from the group session room. Infuriated, he looked back over his shoulder as he stormed out, calling them all a bunch of idiots. Crimson sparks arced off him as Alex raced down the hall. Simon blurted out asking what the hell that was. Concerned, Ingrid added that he was seriously losing it. Mike extolled them not to judge him too harshly, adding that his brother's funeral was today. Alex entered into the stairwell, stopping between level 2 and 3. He took a seat, pulling his knees up and wrapping his arms about them, sitting morosely in the quiet. Alone finally, he sat there sulking, angry about the fact he could not be at his brother's funeral, how nobody seemed to understand that a return to a normal life was all he wanted. The view shifts from the clinic over to the Jokertown Baptist Church. The day of Jack's funeral was the day after Kira had gone missing. It also happened to be the first day the killer struck and the murders began. By the next morning, nobody was thinking about Kira or the recent outbreak in Colorado. Instead, everyone would all be asking the same thing. Inside the church, their daily soup kitchen was open. A decent-sized crowd of jokers were in line or seated eating. Conversation buzzed and dinnerware clattered in the open room. The question everyone wanted to know, why was he doing it? A cayenne-skinned joker at the head of the soup line was getting his bowl filled by a dog mask-wearing volunteer. A conversation between a pair of jokers could be heard. He was telling a story to another before abruptly stammering, then expressing how he felt hot all of a sudden, asking if the other joker felt the same. In a closer look, an open vial of the missing Trump virus is shown sitting next to the pot of soup being served. Dogmask took this moment as his cue to make an exit from the scene as he dashed toward an exit. All eyes turned in concern to the Joker, who had complained of suddenly being hot. Appealing to the other Jokers, he choked out that something was seriously wrong. Steam rose up from his forehead as the violet-skinned Joker grabbed at his throat. Concern turned to fear as a small pop exploded from his neck. Nearby, 2 other Jokers began exhibiting the same forehead steaming. Bob, the violet-skinned Joker's head flew back. He coughed hard, gurgling as blood spurted from his mouth. Jumping up from a nearby seat, Mr. Magenta shouted, "Hey, we need some help over here." He turned, calling out for another Joker nearby named Candy, asking for her help with Bob as more pops resounded from him and he crumpled from his chair. Bob crashed to the floor. Mr. Magenta gave a sideways look over at Candy and exclaimed her name in disbelief, "Candy!" Somewhat in a daze, she responded to his call, looking at him. "Holy shit," Magenta exclaimed. She wasn't a Joker anymore. In all outward appearance, she looked to be a gnat, which elicited renewed calls for help. He grabbed Candy and began making his way to the exit hall. He implored the staff to call for an ambulance, a doctor, for somebody to do something. Ahead of them further down the hall, Dogmask dashed toward the exit, ignoring the chaos left behind him. That day, 8 Jokers died, 5 were cured, more were suspected to have been exposed to the Trump, yet had no reaction. Emergency vehicles sped through Jokertown, sirens blaring and lights flashing as they rushed back to the clinic with Joker patients from the church. Whoever was doing this, they ended lives that morning, changed others forever. As it turned out, the culprit was just getting started. Inside the clinic, Joker patients began arriving. Bob, still alive and vomiting blood, was rushed in. No longer a Joker, Candy hovered near the gurney, worry etched across her face for her friend. They passed Simon and Alex standing to the side. Alex, behaving sullenly, stood arms crossed leaning against a wall as Simon carried on expressing how weird Kira's disappearance was. Gruffly, Alex retorted, "So what if it was? Why did he even care?" "Come on," Simon implored to Alex. Kira was the one who got them all into this. If it hadn't been for her and the old wildcard lingering on Jetboy's jacket, there would never have been an outbreak. Having superpowers, he was happy. Just like a pig in shit, thought Alex. Simon figured he owed it to her. He chided Alex, stating that she was his girlfriend or something, right? They turned and left the main lobby. Heading down the hallway, Alex snapped back. They had barely known each other. Simon continued poking Alex. "Okay, so you had a crush on her, admitting Kira was pretty hot, before the outbreak that is," he added before pausing. "Aha!" Simon exclaimed, like the thought had suddenly dawned on him. He grabbed Alex's shoulder, attempting to stop him. Simon provoked Alex further, implying he didn't really give a crap because he only liked her before she had become fugly. Furious, lightning sparked off Alex. His eyes glowed menacingly red as he looked back over his shoulder, anger barely in check. He calmly told Simon to step back now. Asshole. He gave Alex a side-eye glance and probed further, responding back to his threat. Simon prodded him, saying, "Oh yeah, then what is it exactly?" With his head hung low, Alex contemplated Simon's words. He did like Kira, and it made him angry to hear Simon nonchalantly mocking her current state, true or not. Thinking deeper, he did reciprocate Simon's belief that Kira leaving didn't make sense. Her disappearance was somewhat mysterious. Alex finally huffed back in exasperation. He didn't see what they were supposed to do about it. He chided Alex for missing the obvious, proclaiming, "Oh come on, we're aces now. We can do anything with these powers." Like using them to track her down and find out directly what was up, why she had left the clinic. It seemed Simon was getting through to Alex. He rushed down the hall to the door of an unoccupied room while telling Alex that when they found her, if she tells them to back off, fine, at least they will know what really happened. Alex was still unsure. What exactly could they do to find her? They didn't know Jokertown any better than she did. Simon snorted as he reached the door. How many times did he have to say it? They were aces now. They entered the room. Simon spotted the sink mirror and moved in front of it. He explained to Alex, to find the girl, all he should have to do is concentrate wholly on ascertaining her location. Sitting down, arms crossed, Alex admonished him, "You really don't know how this whole thing with your powers works, do you?" Simon rationalized to Alex that he had some educated guesses as to how it worked. All he needed to do was concentrate on what he wanted, musing that his powers should take it from there. While concentrating, he activated his ability, slowly sinking his hand into the mirror, followed by his upper body. Sinking into the mirror, he pondered to himself. He just needed to focus on reaching Kira. Simon was sure it would take him there. When he emerged through another mirror, peeking his head into a new room, steam met him, billowing through the room. He could hear female voices in conversation. It sounded like some ladies talking about their next workout focus in the upcoming week. He quickly scanned the room. Across from the mirror he came through were shower stalls. Holy shit, this was a woman's locker room inside a gym. Two naked, gorgeously fit beauties were currently showering. Jackpot. Damn, he thought, I love this power, and briefly imagined all the perverted things he could. Never mind that now. They turned then, noticing him. Startled, one lady yelled, "Hey!" while the other woman angrily demanded to know what the hell he was doing in there. Wide-eyed, Simon hurriedly tried to explain. It wasn't what it looked like. He was just looking for a missing Joker girl. The angry expressions on both their faces as they dashed toward him, fists raised, indicated they hadn't bought his explanation at all. Simon reflected that there had to be some subconscious element to navigating through the mirror world, but his thought was cut off. They reached for him. One swung a punch his way before the other shoved him hard. Simon crashed through the mirror back into their room. He landed hard on the floor with a thud, letting out a loud grunt as his head smacked against the bed frame. With a look of surprise on Alex's face, he shouted Simon's name in exclamation, wondering what had just happened. Simon looked up into Alex's face. Sporting a new shiner on his right eye, he grinned ear to ear and enthusiastically proclaimed that he loved being an ace. He quickly advised Alex that it was bad news. The plan had not worked out as intended. Well, Alex urged, they were going to have to come up with a new plan then. Shifting to another room at the clinic, Mr. Magenta enters into Candy's room carrying a white cap in his hand. Greeting Candy, he stammers out how she's looking really good now, asking how she is feeling as he pulls out a chair to take a seat. Candy joyfully responds back, telling Magenta how great she feels before mentioning that she heard Bob had passed shortly after arriving at the clinic. Yeah, Magenta said with a heaviness in his voice while looking down and fidgeting with the white cap in his hands. He told her the cops were saying Croyd Crenson had lost it and gone crazy poisoning jokers, although he thought that was just a bunch of BS. He fumbled for words, ultimately repeating himself, inquiring if she really was okay and how she was looking well before trailing off. Candy, with a smile, cheerfully explained how weird it was. She had thought a lot about what she would do if she ever changed back to normal. Just that morning, she had dreamed about it. Now, after this, she would actually be able to do all those things again. She would be able to go back to St. Paul and visit her family, or go back to school. She praised whoever had done this. They had given her life back. With a resigned tone in his voice, Magenta mumbled out how yeah, he thought about that too, what it would be like. He knew though that he had been exposed and nothing had in the end changed for him. He was still a Joker. Remembering the cap in his hands, the one Candy had always worn, he held it up, presenting it in an attempt to give it back to her. She looked at it apprehensively and reached out tentatively before pulling her hands away. It was a reminder of what she had been, not what she was now, and she had no desire to keep it as a constant reminder. Instead, she turned her head to the side, looking away, and redirected the conversation back to the incident, seeking to verify that it had been the Trump asking if he had gotten it as well. Magenta explained it had been put into the soup. He was fine though, no change on his end, like water off a duck. Anyways, he began once again telling Candy that he just wanted to make sure she was alright before he raised her cap again, offering it in supplication, stating that he did not want her to lose it knowing that it was her favorite hat. She had not wanted the hat back and figured he likely knew why. Magenta said his farewell, wishing her the best, and headed out of the room. With a certain sense of melancholy, he dropped the hat into a waste can in the lobby before exiting the clinic. Passing outside, Magenta saw others coming and going about their business at the clinic. He sadly reflected on how luck was just not on his side. He really did hope Candy would get to live a normal life again, but silently inside, he wished he had been blessed with the same outcome. On the rooftop above the clinic, a shadow is seen standing above looking down. The departing Mr. Magenta seen below, hands in pockets and slumped over, lost in his own thoughts. The shadow above is Alex standing in the spot he almost jumped from. He reflects upon the current situation, remembering Croyd's words. If you're breathing, maybe there is someone you can help. He realized those words hadn't fully sunk in at the time, until now. Perhaps Kira had just walked away, or maybe Simon was right and there was something odd going on here that she became wrapped up in. He hadn't been able to save Jack or anyone, but now believed he might be able to change that. With a newfound determination, Alex clenched his fist, threw his shoulders back, and raised his head high. With the sun's last rays casting a warm orange glow across the horizon, he knew what he had to do. Back inside the clinic, he stopped, grabbing his bag before heading hurriedly to the clinic's exit. He didn't know anything about Jokertown, or even where to begin looking. Realistically, he didn't need to. He knew the person he had to find was out there somewhere, and Alex was determined to find the sleeper, Croyd Crenson. Detective Ace, he thought, or whatever the situation called for, he remembered. Croyd was the only one in the world in Alex's mind who knew what he was up against. He knew he likely couldn't find Kira on his own. Croyd could, and that was the one thing he knew for sure. All he had to do was find Croyd. The sunset rapidly waned as darkness slowly settled over the city. Alex stepped out into the bustling, foreign-feeling nightlife of Jokertown, walking down the street, passing vendors and pop-up stalls hawking goods, and rolling carts selling food. He mused, how hard could it really be? He made his way deeper into Jokertown on his mission to find Croyd. A group of jokers pointed his way, spotting him when he walked by. They wondered what a gnat was doing alone, strolling casually through Jokertown at night, and decided to discreetly trail after him. Alex stopped frequently, asking vendors and shop owners in the process of closing up if any of them might know where he could find Croyd. He found no leads and resumed his search. Hearing loud music and sounds from somewhere nearby, he headed towards it. He came upon a nightclub after a scant few blocks. He stood before the glowing neon signs of O'Malley's Alley. Music boomed from inside as clubgoers lined up waiting for their chance to get in. He strode towards a Joker man with a wide, flat-topped head who was checking IDs and interrupted him, advising he was looking for Croyd. Over the blaring noise, his initial query went unheard. The man leaned in saying, "Come again." Alex repeated himself, louder this time. The bouncer, now getting a good look at him, assuming he wanted entrance to look for Croyd, growled, telling him he was underage, and Nuts, thinking he would allow him entry, promptly telling him to beat it. Somewhat dejected, he realized that everyone was always looking for Croyd. Nobody knew what he looked like each time he woke. With resignation, he concluded that if the sleeper didn't want to be found, then it was unlikely he would be. Hopefully, with all his inquiries, if he just hung around, Croyd would hear about it and actually come find him. As he turned to walk away, Alex didn't notice the long backwards glance a dog-masked man in line gave him. Alex walked until he had gone far enough that the nightclub noise dwindled away. He took a seat on a street curb, rubbing at his aching shoulder, realizing that he had a lot to learn about Jokertown. From behind, he heard footsteps and a voice call out as the jokers who had been following after him emerged from a side alley. Well, looky what we got here, boys, a gnat slumming it up in Jokertown. They began to pester Alex, heckling him, wanting to know if he was enjoying the freak show. They taunted him, asking if he felt edgy sauntering around Jokertown at night. They had a sinister look in their eyes as one brandished a knife. Trying to dispel the situation, he hurriedly attempted to explain it wasn't like that. He was just looking for a couple of people. The Joker, wielding the knife, scornfully scolded him, saying there were no people there, just us jokers. Grasping the situation he found himself in, he jumped to his feet as the Joker surrounded him, appealing to them that he didn't have any money or valuables, assuming they were attempting to mug him. Alex didn't realize that this was a common practice among seedier Jokers, harassing, beating, and sometimes even killing Nat interlopers. They mocked him as another jeeringly sang a derisive tune, using his no-money plea back at him before all three rushed him. He stepped back, crimson lightning sparking from his outstretched hand. Alex asserted to the attackers that he didn't want any trouble as his electric discharges grew in intensity. The buzz of the electricity arcing across his hands grew louder. Large lightning arcs pulsed from both hands as he prepared to engage with his would-be assailants. After trudging around all night having made no progress in finding Croyd, anger began to wash over him. In the blink of an eye, he decided trouble was exactly what he wanted. With a steely glint, he told them, "Bring it on." He slid in squaring up to the knife wielder and with a devastating electric charged left hook sent him flying backwards, blood spraying from his mouth, the blade flying away. He had seen a few fights, scraps in the schoolyard when he was a kid, a couple of parties that got a little rough. This was different. Alex felt unbelievably alive in that moment. He felt a freeness he hadn't felt since everything happened. The power was intoxicating as it ran through him. His anger reached a raging crescendo. In those few moments, Alex loved being an ace. Truly loved it. All three charged at him. He stepped coming in low at the hulking green Joker, slamming a flat hand-charged upper thrust to his chin, blasting him back into the insect-like red Joker, both crashing to the ground in a heap. The third Joker attempted to flee before he was struck down. As quickly as the altercation began, it was over. His crimson electric discharged in coruscant waves from his fists as Alex stood menacingly over the small, now frightened, pathetic-looking Joker who once wielded a knife at him and now begged for mercy. He stared down at the Joker and with an ominous look in his eyes, assertively he told the Joker, "Tell Croyd I'm looking for him," and without another word, Alex turned his back and walked away from the scene. Meanwhile, back at O'Malley's alley, a scene is unfolding. From inside the clubhouse, manager emerges advising the doorman they can take no more. The club is full up, and they're breaking fire codes at this point. Standing in line nearby, Dog Mask casually leans against the wall, listening intently to the exchange while waiting for his chance to enter the club. After waving the VIPs through, the manager firmly tells him nobody else, repeating they are full up. Hearing this, Dog Mask realizes he will not be able to gain access to the club. He quickly scans those nearby him, observes no focus on him before beginning to emit a light green glow over his body as he slowly fades backwards, phasing through the wall. Having fully phased through the wall, Dog Mask emerges into an empty equipment and storage room. He knew exactly where he would come out and swiftly spots the HVAC units to his left and sprints quickly over to them. Transitioning to the front of the house, the previous band has cleared off the stage. The host, a green slug Joker, takes the stage calling for a round of applause. Needing to buy some time for the next act to come out, he says he would like to relay a few words from the management. Back in the equipment room, Dog Mask can hear the host on stage thanking the crowd for supporting their annual Jokertown fundraiser. He moves hurriedly, not wanting to linger too long, running the risk of being spotted. He sets the small cache of Trump virus atop one of the HVAC units. Slug host rambled on, explaining jokingly that should they get too rowdy, the cover would be going to the place that would be stitching them up. Becoming increasingly more impatient, the crowd began jeering him roundly, calling for the band to be brought out. As the host continues droning on, holding the crowd at bay, Mr. Mask was busily opening vials. He phased them through the outside of the HVAC unit, dumping the contents into the ventilation system. He heard the crowd yelling now for the host to get off the stage. With a final dump of the last vial, he concluded his task. Slug host, realizing things were getting dicey, attempted a final joke before exiting off stage. This of course fell flat in the face of the rambunctious crowd. He turned in defeat and undulated himself off the stage. Our manager greets the slug host Dodie on his way off stage, thanking him. Dodie asks how many they have in the house tonight. Is it all of them? A panorama shows club-goers enjoying the fundraiser, while the manager catches a whiff of something in the air. Looking over at Dodie, she asks him if he smells anything odd. Dog Mask, having achieved his desired goal, leaves the virus holder and empty vials and beats a hasty retreat, dashing towards a wall that will exit him out into an alley behind the club. Dog Mask phases through the club wall, emerging into the alley and almost directly into a devilish-looking Joker woman. She shouts after him to get his attention. Dog Mask, though, has no intention of stopping and bolts away, running down the alley. She implores him to wait, wanting to ask if he had found a way into the club. She had apparently been in line earlier and saw him there waiting. He pauses momentarily and glibly replies back to her, no, just a way out, and asks her to please go away now. Phew, a clean getaway dog mask thought before continuing his sprint down the alley. He decides to head up another street and an alley or two before ditching the mask. Jerk! He heard her yell out from behind him, not caring he ran on. He found an empty street a couple of blocks over and slipped into a dark alley, sighing in relief at having pulled off his scheme and making a retreat from the scene. Dog mask, now out of sight from any prying eyes, pulled off the mask, revealing his true identity. The Godfather Don Corleone. Seriously though, it was none other than the Jokertown Clinic transition counselor Mike Fallon. He spotted a taxi up the street, threw the hoodie back over his head, then dashed out of the alley hailing the oncoming cab to stop. He jumped into the cab, pulled down his hood as the cabbie looked up expectantly. Mike supplied the destination, the Jokertown Clinic, fast. The cabbie, seeing his heavy panting and sweaty sheen on his face, inquired if he was all right. Fine as wine, Mike replied. He was just in a hurry, having received a page from the clinic. Mike, looking overly calm and pleased now, told the cabbie it was an emergency. He smiled broadly, realizing he had successfully completed a large mass Trump inoculation. Soon it would become very busy at the clinic and his workload would be full, helping those in need of his guidance. The scene shifts to Alex, sitting on a curb, arms crossed and head down, contemplating. He reflects on how much he walked around tonight with nowhere to go, before coming to a halt here and just stopping. His feet hurt and he wanted to sleep. He knew it had been stupid, heading out without any idea or plan in mind, thinking he would find Croyd just because he was a determined, angry ace on a mission to do some good. He hoped the world would somehow bend the rules just for him. Instead, he was... Hey, kid. Alex heard it come from behind him in a smooth, deep voice. He whipped his head around, a look of surprise painted on his face, then he recognized the man standing before him. Shock washed over him. He stared, mouth agape in wide-eyed amazement. It actually worked. Standing over him, looming like a legend, was none other than the sleeper himself, Croyd Crenson. I heard you're looking for me. Next in wild cards, the hard call number 4. Was that who we think it was at the end of the issue? He's the dog-faced killer? No way, but he seemed so nice. And now that Alex has found Croyd, the sleeper Crenson, will he be able to find Kira? Will the sleeper even want to, or is revenge for the murder of Nurse Winters the only thing on his sleep-deprived and drug-addled mind? The answers to some of these questions, plus what Simon is up to coming your way in one short month, find out in the next installment, and thanks for watching.